Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Thursday morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. This week just absolutely flying on by, but plenty has actually happened in the short-term time frames. Bitcoin does initiate the bounce that we were looking for yesterday and the day prior, and hitting the short-term targets. So I want to follow up on what to kind of expect next from that, what the sort of range and resolutions look like as well, and if at all that changes the higher-term time frame look, and kind of what to expect, I suppose, for the next week to come, alongside one of the major signals that will be confirmed not today but tomorrow, being Friday, of course. Anyways, with that said, I have a humble request that if you do find this content valuable, if you just want to give back in a nice and free way, the best way to do that is to simply like the video, if you so desire, of course. And also because going to be going to Monaco with Bybit, got to give them the good old chill right there as well, of which you can check them out in the link description below. Actually, do want to give them a major shout out because one, they do have a testnet account for especially newer people to take advantage of, meaning that you don't have to actually, forfeit potential financial equity. And then most importantly actually, is that they're going to be having options in the not so distant future, which I am very much looking forward to. Anyways, with all that said, let's jump into it right now. We're going to get off the Krown chain application. We're going to go right down into the short-term timeframes right on over here. Yesterday, we were looking for a bounce somewhere around about 41,500, potentially even to $42,000, of which we have gotten in the afternoon hours from yesterday. So what essentially is the low-term time frame picture as we put on our drawing tools and our nice little indicators over here? Well, Bitcoin is starting to put in a bit of potential hidden bearish divergence on the low-term timeframes, like the 4-hour right here. As we do see, this is not confirmed, but we are making higher highs on RSI compared to the last few highs that we have seen, even going back to right here when Bitcoin was trading decently above 42,000 bucks. Actually, in fact, sorry, that would be I take that back, 43,000 bucks. The last local high was about 43,200 and in change right there. So as long as Bitcoin is below there, it will be naturally building up some hidden bearish divergence. However, I would not say that this is confirmed, and targets to emerge from that lower, at least to our current lows, likely until Bitcoin does confirm a local high. That's the way that I kind of look at divergence plays in this case. And how do we essentially do that? Well, in this case, we could use a lower term time frame right here, throw in a nice little moving averages as well, and any sort of a closure below the 40,550-ish region, even on an hourly time frame. And yes, I would confirm this as a local high. For the more aggressive people out there, they'll probably be waiting for about 40,700, $200 or $150 difference between the two, but might be relevant for you, might not be relevant for you. And then yes, I would be looking for Bitcoin to essentially cough up that last little rally all the way back down to 39,500 to $39,000 low. Now, do not mistake that with calling a continuation drive just yet to the downside. Again, I think that we could also just as easily see something like this short-term pullback. I do think that we're going to test somewhere down around here. And then the real question is going to be, does Bitcoin bounce or not? If it does, and it actually pops back above and closes above yesterday's high, essentially at 41,550, then I would be looking for the next leg up somewhere around just above $42,000, about 42 to 42,300 or so. I'm going to imagine that's probably in line with one of our major fibs over here. Let's just pull it out. Yeah, we got the 0.5 kind of hovering a little bit higher than that in this blue box territory right here, which actually would, start to fulfill that region. So I would be looking for a move there if that condition is met. Until then, I do think that short term, very, 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 very likely to see a short term pullback from here. The question is Bitcoin hold above about 40,000? Let's just call it 600. It's technically 40,550. Difficult for me to say. Anyways, as far as short-term time frame stochastic momentum goes, we do see that we do have some pain points on 6-hour right below 39,700. Obviously, that's going to change. And given the volatility signal right here as well, it is looking for a corrective signal coming up here. So corrective within the context of our current price action would be, a little bit of a pullback, if you will. 4-hour time frame also going to be showing some short-term pain below about 40,100 right here, as you can see, and it's also kind of getting rather high right there as well. And this one actually looking for a continuation signal, if you will. That combined with the hidden bearish divergence, if confirmed, would very likely imply price action back down to the lows of the week. That being that low $39,000 region, which obviously puts Bitcoin in a precarious place for a continuation. Much lower, another couple $1,000 most likely. Anyways, hourly, I imagine is flippy floppy, probably probably to the downside right now, and actually is to the downside and will be remain with downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below 41,550. So that makes it a lot more easy to say that as long as Bitcoin's below 41,550, I do not call any sort of continuation to that 42.5-ish target, let's say, maybe even as much as 43 actually. But ultimately, as far as as far as those range resolutions go, it's quite literally the same as before, right? Any sort of a close above here, and I look for this area to get hit next, probably a short-term pullback from there, then rinse, repeat if Bitcoin starts to close above this region yet again as well, to the 618. Now, I want to go over what I consider to be a potential, a potential major bear trap in the making. Now, I think that this is more hopium right now, but it is still available. It is still available. Why is that? Because quite simply put, right here on the higher term timeframes, Bitcoin is still operating on higher lows. Does this look strong? No. Does this look good? I would argue also not so great, but it does still have higher lows for right now. And I would confirm this as a major macro bear trap with targets up towards $50,000 plus, like probably deeper into the $50,000 if Bitcoin can close above even the 618 Fibonacci retracement right here, which is 40,000, basically 44,000. If you want to be super conservative, then 44,500 on a daily closing basis. And then, yes, I would be looking for targets up into the shallow $50,000 in the weeks to follow. Anyways, with all of that in mind, that was the bear trap condition. I think that that's, hopium right now, but that's essentially what I'd be looking for if that were to happen. And then what we should now look at, or also to kind of, put a few more points in favor of that, we can look at the higher term time frame stochastic momentum. You'll notice right here on the daily, stochastic momentum will turn back onto the upside with any sort of a closure above 42,700 on CME. That's obviously well and far away, so the lower term timeframes would have to resolve to the upside first. Again, I do still think that risk does remain lower here. Even on daily spot price action, will turn back down below about $40,000. So if Bitcoin does fail and confirm a local high intraday here, probably going to bleed into new lows, in the next few days if that were to happen. So lots kind of at stake right now. Anyways, other than that, the next big signal, perhaps the biggest signal for me, coming up not today but tomorrow, is going to be the 5-day. Before we get into that, I should also explain why I believe we likely have risk lower. Or one of the other major things for myself would be the global open interest right here. Obviously, global open interest, of course, representing leverage positions, has gotten to about 14.5 billion on that last run up towards 48,000 bucks. This created a massive divergence between open interest and, of course, price action, meaning that we saw about a billion more leverage positions on the board compared to even the December rally. The December failed rally at $52,000. So a massively lower high alongside massively higher highs on open interest. Typically, anytime that we've even seen open interest above 13.5 billion plus a local high confirmed, which, yes, we did confirm a local high, not so long ago over here at 48,000 bucks, has led to at minimum a 20% pullback, crash, whatever the fuck you want to call it, downside, right? Fucking crash is what it is. And in some cases, even 50%. So in this case right here, to be fair, we already have played out, a good portion of that. If you are just looking at the lower end of it, we have played out from top to bottom about 18.5%. Obviously, 20% would put Bitcoin back down around the 37,000 to 37,500-ish lows right here, as you can see. But ultimately, that would, imply that there still is, a significant risk lower. On top of that, we no longer have positive funding rates, which we had just for a second yesterday, which we identified as, another likely sort of bounce catalyst, making things a little bit more on the easier side, dare I say. No, should definitely not say that in trading, man. Second that you say that, the market will pull your pants down and have its good old way with you, as my good friend Faraz reminded me in a very bizarre animal-based story in India. Like, what the fuck is actually going on over there, man? Anyways, don't need to get into that right now. YouTube already given me several warnings for past videos, so you know what, we will, you can just use your imagination, if you will. Anyways, it's a long way of saying the market can fuck you when you don't believe that it can. So in this case right here, hourly and daily, both ever so slightly positive, like not 1%, which is absolutely fucking nothing, but it is positive nonetheless, within the context of, downside pressure. So I do think that risk does still remain lower. Anyways, the big thing for me, and what would make me really start to gear towards the next, I guess, meltdown with targets into the mid 30,000s, and probably low 30,000s to follow if this were to happen, contrary to the potential bear trap situation, which again is very far away from being confirmed, would be this. The 5-day chart over here. It is still not left out. It's still very much relevant. And what do we see? Anytime that we have seen in the past couple of years, 5-day BBWP measuring volatility getting down into the teens and even lower than that, especially relevant. The expansive phase that comes after that has led to a pretty nasty move. On average, about 45%, as you can see measured out right here, over the course of the next a little bit more than 40 days, actually. We have still yet to see the expansive phase off of this very low volatility read right here. And yes, if you're intuitively thinking that because the BBWP has been on these lows, these extreme lows for a longer time than even the last past 4 iterations or 5, I mean, this is the last one that's really comparable from July 2020, that does imply that the resolution from that is going to be even more powerful than the past. So it would be, logical to think that we could very easily see, 50% plus move from the expansion of that. Now, of course, volatility is direction neutral, but what is not direction neutral is the 5-day stochastic momentum, given a bias on price action, and the direction of the 5-day stochastic momentum for all these past iterations right here. And again, we can go even further back than this, obviously, has been the correct direction for that next volatility expansion. The reason why I'm calling this out is because we have still yet to see volatility expand over here. We need to see it, 1, get a positive slope, and then 2, a nice healthy closure above the moving average on it, with preferably the moving average also getting a positive slope. We almost got it over here. I got pretty excited about it, and I probably even, I was thinking that it was actually going to expand exactly from there. Nope, didn't happen. I was wrong on that, but this is, just building a case that this is likely going to see a really, really big move from this region. And as of right now, 5-day stochastic momentum is technically to the upside. Problem is, tomorrow upon closure, it will cross to the downside, also rejecting the bullish control zone if Bitcoin closes below 43,000 bucks right here. So that's kind of what's at stake right now. If that happens on Friday, I would very likely be looking for the next few weeks to have that fall through to the downside. Again, there's very likely to be bounces along the way. A couple areas of interest to the downside would be about 37.5. Then you got 35 to 34.5. And then below there, you got your $29,000 to $30,000 lows. Other than that, again, just kind of wrapping it up on the short-term timeframes right here. Short-term timeframes, I mean, rather simple. Look, if Bitcoin confirms hidden bearish divergence, which is not in there right now, but is present as long as Bitcoin's below, especially 43, which will confirm below 40,550 on even an hourly timeframe closure, then I would be looking for another retest of our current lows, probably another short-term bounce there, but ultimately that is a continuation posturing by definition. So with all of that in mind, I think it's a good place for me to sign off. We'll be back on tomorrow with some more live stream analysis. I want to wish you well. Take care, stay safe, and see you hopefully soon.